Well, Mondays are considered the most boring day starting the week. But here in DWZ, we intend to keep our Mondays a lot more fun and entertaining for all of you. So today we're going to do something a little bit more different than we normally do. The entirety of the episode, we're going to be reviewing Pro Wrestling Noah with 3 days of the N-1 victory. So yes, 3 days of the N-1 victory. They did three back-to-back days in Korakuen Hall, continuing their annual tournament, the N-1 victory. So we're gonna see how far they have gone since we already begun the N-1 victory. So this is day 2, 3, and 4. And I'm excited to see what's going to take place. And also, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events, promotions are throwing out, who's been booked, matches are set, any injured wrestlers, signed wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. So, if you like what you see from all the reviews we've been doing in this particular channel, please subscribe to us. And if you like this episode, please give us a like or a comment down below. Now, before I proceed with anything, starting with day 2 of the N-1 victory by Pro Wrestling Noah. For those who are new or don't know much about Pro Wrestling Noah or what the N-1 victory is all about, let me explain to you a little bit of what the N-1 victory is. Those who are New Japan Pro Wrestling fans have witnessed already the G1, which is the annual tournament that takes place every year. Now, recently we have been seeing about maybe more wrestlers to be involved in this one. However, the winner will get an opportunity to challenge for the top title. Now, New Japan's top title is the IWGP World Heavyweight title that is currently being held by Sonata. Now, in this particular tournament, it's the same thing, the N-1 victory. Some of you may ask what the N-1 stands for. The N-1 stands for number 1. The G1 stands for, in New Japan, for grade 1, which is the heavyweight division. So the winner of the N-1 victory will get a shot of the GHC heavyweight title that's currently being held by Jake Lee. Now, much like whenever winners, the G1, they will guarantee an opportunity to challenge for the IWGP World Heavyweight title at Wrestle Kingdom. Here in Noah, they don't do such things like that. But nonetheless, they will get an opportunity of their choosing. So it's the same concept. You win a match, you get 2 points. If you don't win a match, you get 0. But however, if the match ends in a time limit draw or double count out or count or whatever goes out, that way you get 1 point each. So I believe you got the skit. So we have 2 blocks on this one. Unlike New Japan, there was only about how many 4 blocks, A, B, C, and D. Here it's only just A and B. So not to go overboard on that one. But in the entirety of all 3 days that they had, and not only that we were focusing on the N-1 victory tournament matches, we even focused on the number 1 contendership for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Now, those who don't know what GHC stands for, it stands for Global Honor Crown. That's the governing body of Pro Wrestling Noah's titles. I mean, there is the GHC Heavyweight title, the Heavyweight Tag Team titles, the Junior Heavyweight title, the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, and of course the National Heavyweight title. So basically you have all of that. But there's been rumors about, there was talks about by Jung Kiona pitching an idea about having a GHC women's title. Now, that idea hasn't been come across, but I'm sure down the line Pro Wrestling Noah would definitely do that. But the N-1 victory, on the other hand, is that annual tournament that takes place. We get wrestlers not only from Japan, but also outside of Japan. We feature Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Timothy Thatcher, Jack Morris. Who else is involved in this one? Well, there's plenty. Oh yeah, Saxon Huxley and many others. But of course, there's some certain wrestlers that are well known in Noah that are participating, such as Keno and Katsuhiko Nakajima and a very few others. So I think that's pretty much the idea what you guys have with Pro Wrestling Noah's N1 victory. Let's begin with day 2. Okay, so this is day 2 of the N1 victory by Pro Wrestling Noah. As I said before, all the shows are taking place in Korakuen Hall. So this is on August 9th. Now, our opening match is from the B block. It features Daiki Inaba versus Manabu Soya. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. Now, I'm not much of a Inaba fan. I have seen Manabu Soya. He's a very strong individual. So this was one of the most strongest matches I've ever watched. Mostly try to build up a little bit of the powerhouse type match. But unfortunately, in this match, it ended with, of course, a pinfall by Daiki Inaba to Soya to pick up his 2 points. So at this point, both gentlemen has 2 points each, I believe, with one win and one loss each, I believe. Now let's jump in with A block. We have Adam Brooks versus Masa Kiyomiya. Now Adam Brooks in day 1 had an amazing upset when he defeated Keno, so he already has 1 win on this particular. But he faces another strong competitor. Now you would think that Adam Brooks, who pulled up an upset, could try to take out Masa Kitamiya. However, Kitamiya was not going to have it, so he applied a headlock onto him when he was applying his little submission move on him, and of course Brooks had no other choice but to tap. So currently they both have 1 win and 1 loss each with 2 points. B block, we have from All Japan Pro Wrestling, Yuma Anzai taking on Go Shiozaki. Now this is a very tough battle for Anzai. Reason is Go Shiozaki has been the champion of Pro Wrestling Noah for many years. He is the guy who calls himself I Am Noah. So he has to go up and put up a game face against him. But unfortunately, he got hit by a big lariat by Shiozaki to pick up the win. So this match ends with, of course, Azai with just still winless. He hasn't picked up any wins yet on this particular day. But Shiozaki only has 2 wins with 4 points and no losses just yet. Now our next match we have for the A block, Timothy Thatcher taking on the big and strong Yoshiki Inamari. Now this is a very very interesting match. I was very curious because Inamari is a very strong powerhouse competitor. With the strength that he has, he'll probably try to break you in half. But when it comes to Timothy Thatcher, he is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. So he would definitely try to put Inamari in a submission move. So that's something that I could possibly picture. But fortunately, it went that way. So it was, of course, Thatcher with the Fuji Ari armbar and forces Inamari to tap out. So currently, right now, Timothy Thatcher has 2 points with 1 win and 1 loss. As for Inamari, he is still winless. He only has 0 points on this one. Now let's jump back with the B block action. We have Lance Anoy taking on Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. So we have 2 different dynasties involved in this one. You have the Anoy dynasty. You guys know Lance Anoy. He's related to the Anoy family, involved with, of course, the Bloodline, The Rock, all those people from that particular family, taking on Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., his dad, Dr. Wagner Jr., his grandfather, the original Dr. Wagner. Of course, if you guys ever met his brother, Galeno de Mount, the dude is a big-ass beast, trust me. But this is great for him. He made a great showing on day one on this particular thing. However, this was a very tough battle because he's facing a much different person, a Samoan. But it was Lance Noy with the Samoan splash that picked up the win. He got himself 2 points. Right now, he is with 2 wins and no losses. As for Dr. Wagner Jr., he only has 2 points with just 1 win and 1 loss. So the loss he just received now on this particular one. Now, taking a little break from the N1 Victory Tournament, we have the tournament for the number 1 contendership for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Team number 1, we have Seki Yoshioka teaming up with an old friend of his, Haji Ohara, taking on the members of GLG, Tadasuke and Yohei. Now, this is a very unusual match for me. Now, those who don't know, Yoshioka, Ohara were part of a team known as Full Throttle, along with Yohei, who is, in fact, or cross-diagonal from them. The way the story ended with them, Yoshioka turned his back on Full Throttle, aligned himself with Stinger. But of course, later on, we know what happened with him. He no longer felt that he was succeeding with Stinger. Ohara was part of the Noah Juniors, but he left when Yohei joined. And of course, Yohei did the unthinkable. Once again, this is something that Ohara had talked about in the past, that he was going to betray everybody else like he did in the past. And he was not wrong when that happened. But now, this is for the tag titles. Now, recently, the GLG did lost these titles before to the members of Stinger, consistent of Daga and Chris Ridgway. So that kind of puts it in a factor here. But it was Yohei with the drop kick to the face on Yoshioka to pick up the win. So they advances, but they will pay attention to the following day who will be their opponents. Now, our next match, we feature back to the A block. We have Yuki Yoshioka from Dragon Gate. He faces against our current champion, Jake Lee. I have to say, this is a very tough match for Yoshioka taking on Lee, because he is one of the strongest competitors. He was the most hated person because nobody wanted him to know us since he came from All Japan. But he has shown why he is who he is. But it was, of course, the big boot onto his face that put away Yoshioka, giving him the win. So currently in this particular match, Jake Lee walked away with 4 points, with 2 wins and no losses. And as for Yuki Yoshioka, he only has 2 points with just 1 win and 1 loss. Now we jump into our main event, which is, of course, B block. We have Saxon Huxley taking on the winner of last year's and the year before that of the N1 Victory, Katsuhiko Nakajima. This was, I have to say, Nakajima, he did not have a good start in day one. He lost his first match. But Saxon Huxley, I have to say, I think he put him through the test, in my opinion. I mean, he's not the same Nakajima that I remember, who is always devouring his opponents when he beats them. And that kind of puts me like, what the hell just happened to him? I mean, he hasn't been the same ever since he left Congo. I mean, it's great that he teamed up with his buddy Shiozaki, but going this way, that's kind of messed up. But it was Saxon Huxley with a powerbomb that picked up the win. You can say it's an upset, but I'm like very going with like, how did this happen with Nakajima losing losing his first 2 matches in the N1 Victory? So it is what it is. So we'll see how day 3 will go. So let's move on to that right now. Okay, day 3 of the N1 Victory by Pro Wrestling Noah. This took place on the 10th of August in Korakuen Hall. So let's get started on the first match. We begin with A block action. We have Yuki Yoshioka taking on Timothy Thatcher. Now, great dynamic on this particular match. Don't forget Thatcher in this particular way. He is one of the best technical wrestlers that we have seen so far. So Yoshioka has to ensure not to put himself in a submission hold one way or the other. But he was able to escape it by applying a lariat onto Timothy Thatcher to pick up his next win with 2 points. So he currently has 4 points with 2 wins and 1 loss. As for Thatcher right now, he completely has 1 win and 2 losses. So that's what he has right now. Now jumping with B block, we have Yuna Anzai taking on Monobu Soya. Now keep in mind, Anzai is originally from All Japan Pro Wrestling, so he has to represent All Japan in every aspect. But I would have assumed that this was going to be a big challenge for him because apparently he's facing a big competitor, a strong competitor, which is of course Manabu Soya. I would have assumed that Soya would have walked away as the win for this one, but no. Somehow Anzai applied a German suplex onto Soya to pick up his first win with 2 points. So right now he only has 1 win and 2 losses. The same thing with Manabu Soya, 1 win and 2 losses. Now jump back with the A block. Well, we have Jack Morris versus Masa Kiyomiya. Now, Jack Morris has issues towards Kiyomiya. He decided not to have the announcers to announce his name because he interfered in a personal matter that didn't concern him from what Jack mentioned. So he sneaked up from behind in hopes to soften him up, but it did not do any good for him because apparently he got speared in the end. And of course, Kiyomiya picked up his next 2 points with a total of 4 points with 2 wins and 1 loss. As for Jack Morris, he only has 2 points with just 1 win and 2 losses. Now jump back to B block action. We have Lance Anoa'i taking on Saxon Huxley. I thought this match was going to be a little bit tough for Anoa'i because Saxon Huxley is very much of a big powerhouse, and I think this was a big challenge for Lance. But unfortunately, Huxley applied a double choke power bomb onto him and pick up his next 2 points. So he's currently have 4 points with two wins and 1 loss. Same thing with Lance Anoa'i, 2 wins, 1 loss. Now back to the A block, we have Adam Brooks taking on the current champion Jake Lee. Now keep in mind, if Brooks was able to defeat Jake Lee, he can issue a challenge against Jake Lee in the future if he doesn't win the N-1 victory. But however, Jake Lee, who has been one of the most dominating champions we have seen so far, he has been unbeaten. Nobody hasn't been able to pin him or submit him. So did Adam Brooks did that? The answer to that, no. Just like every other victim, he received a big boot in the face. And just like that, Jake Lee remains undefeated with 6 points. As for Adam Brooks, he only has 2 points with 1 win and 2 losses. Now, our next match, we continue with more of the #1 contendership tournament for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have Junta Miyawaki teaming up with Masuka, taking on Hiroki and Sushi Kotoge. This is a very unusual setup. Reason is because Masuke and Hiroki were tag team when they had a different name at the time. But however, Sushi Kotoge knows these two, Masuke and Miyawaki. They were once members of the Noah Juniors and that sort of thing. So, but it was a pretty good match. But I wasn't too sure how this was going to go. But unfortunately, it was Kotoge who applied a moonsault onto Miyawaki to pick up the win. So that means for the next day, Kotoge and Hiroki will team up to take on their opponents, and that is, of course, Tadasuke and Yohei in the next round, in the final round of this junior heavyweight tag team tournament. Now let's go back to the N-1 victory with the B block. We have Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. taking on Katsuhiko Nakajima. I have to say this was going to be a very, very big match because, as I said before, Nakajima has won 2 back-to-back N1 victories, and it did not go well for the beginning of the start. But he was able to apply a pretty good win when he applied a vertical drop spine buster onto Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr., giving him finally his 2 points. So both of them has in the same category. They both have 2 points with 1 win and 2 losses. So I'm hopefully Nakajima can catch up to what he missed out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wins another back-to-back, but we'll see how that goes. Now our main event, we have A block. This is between Yoshiki Inamari taking on Keno. I was looking forward to this one because Keno is one of my favorite wrestlers. I mean, the guy's a total badass. When I watch him, he's like the kind of guy who's like, I don't give a shit, that sort of attitude. All he's there is to fight. And that's always been the case. He always talks about opinions when it comes to pro wrestling. You know, about how he feels about pro wrestling in some capacity. But, however, he has to face against a much stronger competitor. I have to say, this is one of the best matches I've ever watched. Not because Keno was involved, because the way it was performed with him and Inamari. Inamari, he seems like the kind of guy you know that he would definitely reach the top, but he's facing a guy who's been the GHC heavyweight champion before. And I have to say, it was very insane. But finally, Keno was able to get his first win after not starting a good, the N-1 great. He applied a crossface, and of course, Inamari had no other choice but to tap out. So I have to say, great match. So Keno finally get his 2 points. So now let's move on to the next and final day, which is the 4th day of the N-1 victory by Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, day 4 of Pro Wrestling Noah for the N-1 victory at Korakuen Hall on August 11th of this year. Now, it did not open up with any matches involving the N1. We had, of course, the Young Boys taking the stage. First, we have Yu Owada, who's been well received in the pro wrestling fan base, not to mention not too long ago. But his opponent is Kai Fujimura. Of course, this match was going to go with Kai Fujimura, who is, one of the most prosperous young boys in Noah. He was able to pick up the win by applying, of course, the Boston Crab, which is, of course, a move that like the young lions, the young boys of any dojo or any promotion, they have to learn from to master it. And that kind of was the one thing that used them to defeat Owada. So, interesting match, but nonetheless, that's not one of the important ones. So, now we'll get to the matches of the N1. First one we have Timothy Thatcher taking on Jack Morris. This was going to be a very interesting match. You can tell by the look of Thatcher that he wants to pick up his next win. He so far has lost 2 matches so far, but Jack Morris is the perfect victim. Once again, he applied his technical aspects to pick up the win when he applied the Fujiwara armbar, forced Morris to tap out and giving him his 2 points. So he currently has 4 points with 2 wins and 2 losses. Morris, he is with just 2 points with 1 win and 3 losses. Next up, we got B block action. We have Daiki Inaba versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. I have to say, what a great match and an excellent performance by Daiki Inaba. Now, I'm not a fan of Inaba, but Inaba did a fantastic performance. Now, he knows he's not facing a slouch, with Nakajima. Nakajima will devour you. If you ever seen him, this guy is out to kill you. That's how Nakajima is. He's very methodical about how he's going to proceed his opponents. But you would have thought this match would have been an upset, for Inaba to defeat Nakajima. Well, unfortunately, it did not. He ended up on the wrong side of the vertical drop brainbuster, and boom, just like that, he won. So Nakajima currently has 4 points with 2 wins and 2 losses. Well, Inaba, he only has 1 win so far in this one and 3 losses. But nonetheless, I have to say this is one of the best performances Inaba's ever been in. Now back to A block. We have Yoshihika Inamura taking on Masaki Miya. Now, these 2 guys are no strangers. These guys have been tag team partners before, but they're not afraid to throw down against one another. I mean, that's what makes a good tag team a tag team. But there can only be one winner. Now, these 2 gentlemen are powerhouses. You probably would assume it's going to take a while until someone picked up, but luckily it was Masa Kitamiya with the senton bomb onto Inamura, just like that. Inamura lost the match, but I have to say, pretty good performance. But the points right now we have is Kitamiya has 6 points, so that means he only has 3 wins, 1 loss. Inamura only has no win; he's winless at the moment. Now jump back to B block. We have Saxon Huxley versus Manabu Soya. Another good match. You probably would have thought this is another powerhouse type match. Well, it kind of did. But however, in this particular match, it was Manabu Soya with a jumping DDT to pick up his win. So they both ended up in the same point system. They both have 4 points each with 2 wins and 2 losses, which is not bad. Now our next match, we have Yuki Yoshioka taking on Kenoh. Another good match. I mean, Kenoh is trying to catch up to where everybody is, but nonetheless, it was a good match. It ended with, of course, Kenoh applying a submission, and it was just like that. It was over. Both of them are in the same system, with 2 wins, 4 points each, with just 2 wins and 2 losses. Now, our next match is the final of the number 1 contendership tournament for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have Hiroki and Atsushi Kotoge taking on GLG, Tadasuke and Yohei. You probably would have assumed GLC would be the ones to win, but no. It was the great combination work between both Kotoge and Hiroki that picked up the win. I have to say, I know Hiroki, when he left Congo not too long ago, he felt that he was not succeeding. But it looks like he's succeeding now with the help of Kotoge. Kotoge, I feel like he's one of those guys that you can learn from because he wants to see the Noah Juniors succeed more than anything. So they picked up a good win, and they will face the champions on September 3rd, I believe. Yes. Now, our next match, which is our main event, we have the B block. We have Dr. Wagner Jr. taking on Go Shiozaki. I have to say, awesome match. I have to say, unbelievable match. I think this is one of the best matches Dr. Wagner Jr. has ever been in. I mean, you would have assumed that Go Shiozaki would walk out since he is the veteran in the promotion, but no, it was Dr. Wagner who was trying to prove his dynasty of representing not only his country Mexico but his family, that picked up a good win when he applied the best moonsault ever, just like that. So currently he has 4. They both have 4 points each, with 2 wins and 2 losses. So we'll see how day 5 will proceed on until we know this tournament will end in September. So we'll be seeing until we get there. So I think that's pretty much it with Noah. I believe it's time for news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have. Now, as you know, in October, we have the launch of Kitsune Women's Wrestling. Now, as you know, they already announced who will participate in this promotion coming up in October 22nd. However, they haven't been announcing that much about what matches are going to take place. So here's what they have announced. There's going to be a Gong Rumble taking place. Whoever wins this Rumble will challenge for the top title of Diana, which is currently held by Aruka Umasaki. So basically, they're going to use that title as a way to get an opportunity. So anything could happen until then. Now, other matches have been announced. We have Trish Adora will be taking on Rina Amikura from Color. So that's going to be an interesting match to see. We have veteran Chikayo Nagashima taking on Rachel Ellering. Billy Starks will be in action to take on one of the deathmatch queens, Risa Serra. And then finally, we have tag team action. We got Magenta, consistent of Maria and Riko Kawahara from Marvelous, taking on the Midnight Demise, consistent of Kid Bandit and Zoe DuBois. I have to say, I'm excited for Magenta. I mean, I know that right now Maria is so happy since it was announced that Riko Kawahara is now officially a full-time member of the Marvelous roster. Now, moving on, as you know, great things are happening in the women's division, especially in Wrestling Revolver. As you know, they announced for the Revolver Women's Grand Prix. They already announced for the first person to enter, and that is, of course, Billy Starks. However, two new names have been announced that will happen on October 8th. The second name was, of course, Vert Vixen, and third, Janai Kai, the Kick Demon. Now, New Japan Pro Wrestling, as you know, they announced for the upcoming London show, Royal Quest 3, that will take place on the 14th of October. They announced that, of course, the winner of the G1 Climax, Tetsuya Naito, will be in action, so we're looking forward to that. However, the New Japan Strong event, Fighting Spirit Unleashed, that will take place in Las Vegas on the October 28th, will take place in Las Vegas, Nevada. So anything could happen. Now, for our West Coast Pro stuff, we have from their upcoming show next month on the 10th of September. From the West Coast with Love, we have many matches that were announced. We have Starboard Charlie, the winner of the West Coast Cup, will be in action to take on Shun Skywalker of Dragon Gate. Then, of course, we have Kevin Blackwood and Alan Angels teaming up to take on the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Now, 36th entrant for the All-Star Junior Festival USA that takes place on the 19th of this month, we have the Truly Blessed KC Navarro will be in action as well. Now, moving on, RevPro for the 11th anniversary taking place on the 26th of this month of August. The undisputed British tag team titles will be defended. I was not aware who were the champions because I've lost track. The champions are none other than our current Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, the Subculture. They defend those titles against the Velocities. It's a tag team based out of Australia, so that's going to be a pretty good match to watch. IWTV, which if you guys don't know what that is, it stands for Independent Wrestling Television. They announced for their upcoming event that'll take place by the end of this year, going back from the 28th to the 31st of December, called Restival, that will take place in Worcester, Massachusetts. So there's still no announcement what's going to happen, who was going to participate. So hopefully we'll get more information on that. All Japan Pro Wrestling has announced for their September 3rd event in Nagaoka, Rising Hayato will be in action to take on our IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Hiromu Takahashi. So that's going to be a fun match to hear about. Now, finally, Tokyo Sports conducted an interview with current Stardom talent, Saya Iida. Saya Iida says she has one goal in mind as soon as she finished with her match. It's going to take place on New Blood 10 this weekend against Nanae. Her goal is now to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship, which is the white belt. Now, I know there's several wrestlers who have gone for that belt before. Recently Mina gunned for that title this year. Same thing with Mirai. I know there's others too that haven't. They're still gunning for it. So I'm looking forward to that. So we'll see what Saya Iida does. I mean, I know she is very amazing talent for someone her size, I have to say. But nonetheless, anything is a possibility for her. So I think that's pretty much it for our news update. So we'll see what happens. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Tuesday Wrestling taking place. We do have NWA Power in case anybody asks. And of course, we have NXT. So I'm looking forward into reviewing that. Now, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to if there's anything I want to do. I know I'm behind on certain events, such as the GCW events, Stardom with 2 shows they did for the 5-star Grand Prix. I know right now there's one that as we speak is taking place in Korakuen Hall regarding of the 5-star Grand Prix. I'm looking forward to that. I think there is an All Japan show, but I haven't looked into it. But we'll see what happens until then. So we'll just keep on moving forward until that. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.